Hey, welcome back. It's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And we've got another segment of the M Squared TechCast for you. Our guests for this segment are David and Andrew Glover. They are co-owners of Windsor-based Harbour Tech. That's how you can tell it's in Windsor, because it's spelled with a U.
Yeah, I was going to say, you misspelled your sign there, guys. Come on, So.
Maybe I'd also give away is a Tim Hortons coffee we're drinking.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. That's it. And you got the donuts there too, or not?
We had Timbits this morning, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. All right, so I connected with you guys through the Canadian consulate. They were on another show, or had one of their folks was on another show, and I thought, yes, we should probably find out what's happening across the river. And so the what they told me was that you guys immediately answered the call. Well, we should probably explain now. You're more of an engineering consulting company, right? Would that be the best way to describe you?
We're a custom machine tool builder, so we build special purpose machinery for all different types of markets, including automotive, heavily into the nuclear, aerospace, and now medical. So we really had the skill sets to be able to kind of reinvent a lot of the equipment needed to bring this PPE manufacturing onshore again.
Yeah, and that's what you did, according to the folks at the consulate, that you designed some equipment to decontaminate N95 masks, which are, of course, used by first responder hospital personnel, and also equipment to produce gowns. Is that correct?
Yes. So the Canadian consulate, and we've been heavily working with them, the Canadian government, both federally and provincially, have all been kind of in contact with us from time to time, introducing us to new stuff. One of them was the decontamination equipment, which didn't pan out, but it was one of the options we were looking at to help out in the crisis.
Yeah, and what we moved forward with is N95 mask making machines and high production gown making machines for level 2 and level 3 gowns.
So how different is that from the stuff you normally produce? I mean, what's your machine tools generally used for?
Our machine tools are usually generally used for such applications as recently we did a face and center machine for a Detroit facility that machined truck axles. So we designed and built a custom CNC type linear transfer machine that would machine, it would end face and center the axle tubes. That's something pretty typical, is like custom metal cutting machines. We do a lot of automation and tooling in the nuclear industry for the refurbishment of nuclear reactors around the world. So we'll engineer systems up that would go into the nuclear reactor and pull radioactive end fittings out of the reactor face and transfer it into shielding systems and then out the reactor.
In short form, we handle a lot of heavy components and cutting steels to now handling textiles, which is has its mind of its own. So,
yeah, very different materials, that's for sure. So, how big now is that PPE area in terms of your overall what you do? I mean, what percentage would you say? Small, very small, or it's growing, or how would you describe it?
I would say that it definitely shifted our market percent. I would say it's probably around half of our market is now in the PPE industry currently.
Oh.
Yeah. With the other half primarily nuclear right now. The automotive slowed down a little bit.
Now we could just combine it somehow, nuclear kind of materials. I'm kidding, right? So, yeah, the auto plants.
The only thing that's scarier than a pandemic is nuclear stuff, right?
Yes, yeah. The auto industry has just started to gear up in Michigan, so I don't know how quickly everything's going to turn around. I mean, they're being very cautious because the last thing they want to do, and the last thing the UAW wants them to do, is infect the workforce. So hopefully that'll come up to speed soon. I know that a lot of people, and there's a lot of pent-up demand for autos right now. So, and of course, the dealerships just opened again. Everything is kind of coming alive. But what everyone's a little worried about is, are we going to be doing the wrong things and then have the virus come back and then we're going to have to shut down again? Hopefully that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and hopefully by that point we'll have enough PPE in place that will help alleviate a lot of those worries.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling people is this is sort of a lull right now, but there's supposed to be another storm over the horizon. So now would be the time to buy and stock up just in case. And if you're wrong, what the heck? The worst thing is you got a bunch of these things in stock, but that's not such a bad problem, right?
Yeah, and that's where our initiative comes in is some of this equipment's the N95 masks themselves will be utilized not only in medical industry, but also the industrial applications. So companies that are coming back online that need PPE are going to be looking for those N95 masks. And this is going to alleviate some of the supply demand that's currently seen right now. And in that sense too, it's reshoring the manufacturing back to North America, utilizing machinery that's engineered, designed in Canada, using components both in Canada and the US, with materials from Canada, US, and to manufacture these N95s.
So tell me a little bit about the history of Harbour Tech. When was the company started, and who are the owners, and how many employees do you have?
We started back in 1972, so we're a third generation family run company. My grandfather started with help from my father when they immigrated from Scotland back in the late 60s. And then when my grandfather passed away, my father took it over, and then my father retired, and Andrew and I have been controlling the company since. So.
And then in terms of, are you now, because of the PPE situation, are you hiring more people, or are you using those already in place, and how's that working out?
Yeah, we're actually currently hiring right now. We're hiring high-skilled machinists, machine tool builders, controls, PLC specialists, project managers, engineering, mechanical, and electricians to meet the demand for manufacturing this equipment. So we're definitely on a hiring path. We're expanding our floor space right now, and then we've got a planned expansion as well for further floor space. So right now we're at about 24 employees, and we're probably going to grow to around 30 plus in the next month or so.
And are you finding enough skilled folks in Windsor?
Yeah, it's a challenge for high skilled, like the similar issues that we've heard from our customers in the Detroit, Michigan area. The high skilled, for example, CNC machinists. It's always a struggle to find the right machinist with the skill level. But right now, there's a lot of companies that are on layoffs. So we're seeing a good pool of candidates right now that are coming in. So.
Well, I would imagine you probably had to take some steps in your own facilities for keeping people safe, right? Barriers and masks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We segregate like the lunch rooms. Everyone does a self check-in before they enter the building. Limit obviously interactions with suppliers and subcontractors as much as possible. So a lot more Zoom meetings going on, but we're trying to keep everyone as safe as possible and get product at the door. So it's been an interesting balance.
Absolutely.
Now, are there any other PPE products you guys are taking a look at getting into?
Yeah, we're going to be building surgical mask machines as well. We just got the engineering finalized on it. We got a little bit more tweaking left to do, and then we'll be kicking off manufacturing of surgical masks as well. So we'll have surgical masks, N95s, and our isolation surgical gowns.
All right, then I assume that the government's helping you out in some way. Are you like getting loans from them or aid from them in order to tool up, or what's going on with that?
We're getting support from the government, not in the sense of monetary, but in support in approvals and test facilities and that, and fast tracking for the N95s and aligning us with experts in that. We're in constant communication with the provincial government and the federal government in that regards. And we were just on a call earlier this morning with the National Research Council of Canada, the NRC, and they were putting us in contact with some of their key researchers in the field of antiviral and new classes of material for filtration and that.
Yeah, the Canadian government's role has been pretty good. They've been helping us out a lot, just like Andrew said, introducing us to key contacts and making sure we have all the resources at our disposal. So,
what are the biggest differences you found in moving toward handling more fabrics and not metals? That has to have been a pretty big change.
Yeah, it was a new learning curve. We do have, David and I also have another company called Thunder Composite Technologies, which does high strength composites, and primarily for the automotive and military defense industries. And those types of materials, the processing of them is a little bit similar to the textiles in how we handle like your carbon fiber, fiberglass cloth and rovings. So there's a little bit of experience involved in that, but for the most part, it was a transition where we relied on some of the material experts and looking at other processes, researching quite a bit on similar types of machines, but looking at it from looking at it in the sense of a North American manufacturer, how a North American manufacturer would have that equipment on their floor producing. Because a lot of this equipment's coming from China, and the way that they process their materials and that, and how the machines are set up is there's a lot more hands-on labor. There's a lot more moving parts that aren't protected as far as the safety is concerned and that, and how they stage it from one process to another. There really isn't much automation in between it. So we looked at all those aspects and designed it as we would for if we were to build a piece of equipment for a major tier 1 automotive or for an OEM manufacturer.
We're going to have to cut you off right there. We only got about a minute left. So why don't you tell folks in the audience how they can reach out to you for their various PPE needs or their equipment needs in this case?
If you Google us at Harbour-tech.com, so Harbour with a U -TECH.com.
Yeah, funky spelling. Yeah, we'll get that.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, at least we didn't talk about aluminium today. So
yeah, or Jaguar or anything.
Okay.
Take off, eh?
Hey, yeah, there you go. All right.
Hey, let's not forget the astronauts are named Bob and Doug. Let's not.
Yes.
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah.
They weren't hosers or anything, were they? So,
No.
okay.
All right. Thanks very much, David and Andrew Glover, co-owners of Windsor-based Harbour Tech, who have answered the call of the Canadian government and designed equipment to help with PPE in Canada.
Traditional four-year students love Lawrence Technological University's thriving campus life, but LTU has always met non-traditional students' needs too. Lawrence Tech offers over 100 degree and certificate programs that can get adult students started or back on track. And most of our classes are conveniently offered evenings at our beautiful Southfield campus or online, so you can balance your social, family, and work life even while you power up your career. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.